At 50 years old, Leonardo DiCaprio remains one of Hollywood's most celebrated stars. An actor whose career has spanned more than 3 decades and whose name is synonymous with blockbuster hits, unforgettable performances, and global recognition, earning him Academy Awards, critical acclaim, and a reputation that keeps him constantly in the public eye, both on-screen and in the headlines. Yet despite all this success, one question has followed him relentlessly. Why has he never settled down, never married, and never lived out the traditional Hollywood love story so many expected of him? A mystery that has fueled decades of speculation, endless rumors, tabloid gossip, and late-night talk show jokes, with fans and critics alike debating whether the iconic actor would ever break his bachelor streak. And now, as he reaches this milestone age of 50, DiCaprio has finally given the most honest and candid explanation of his life choices, silencing years of speculation. Throughout his career, he has been linked with some of the most famous women in the world, models, actresses, and high-profile personalities whose names filled magazine covers and generated countless paparazzi photos. Yet none of these high-profile relationships ever ended in marriage. A fact that became a cultural talking point, with media coining phrases about his so-called age cap in dating and portraying him as Hollywood's eternal bachelor. But DiCaprio himself often stayed silent, dodging the questions with humor, or brushing them aside to keep the focus on his work. Until recently, when he admitted that his choice had little to do with avoiding love or commitment, and everything to do with how he views his life, career, and freedom, explaining that acting consumed him from a young age and demanded such an intense level of dedication that it left little room for traditional domestic life, as film sets, constant travel, and a life lived out of a suitcase didn't lend themselves to stability or marriage, which he described as something that would feel more like a cage than a partnership in his circumstances. Moreover, he admitted that the constant pressure from the world to see him married only pushed him further away from the idea, because he had witnessed rushed marriages among friends and colleagues that ended in heartbreak, loss of identity, or even the collapse of careers, and he wasn't willing to let that happen to him. Instead, believing that true love isn't measured by marriage certificates or public ceremonies, but by honesty, respect, and private connection away from the cameras, stating simply that marriage isn't the proof of love. For him, the proof is in living truthfully and supporting one another without the world's expectations. And now at 50, his focus has shifted even further from personal speculation to causes that truly matter to him: environmental activism, philanthropy, and projects that he hopes will outlast his career and contribute to the world. A clear sign that marriage was never a missing piece of his life's puzzle, but simply something that was never part of his goal. And in sharing this rare perspective, DiCaprio has finally silenced the gossip by revealing a truth that makes sense. For him personally, he may never marry, and for him that's perfectly fine, because at the end of the day, his legacy will not be measured by who he walks down the aisle with, but by the roles he has immortalized on screen and the lasting impact he leaves on cinema and the world around him.